up a seat to the bar and join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tansen, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk. Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 15.3, Release the Kracken, where we are covering the graphic novel Warcry. My name is Tansen, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
291 days. Thank you so much to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us keep doing what we're doing. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Issue 4. Thomas fights the Baron, giving the Wardens a chance to regroup and get back to the Stronghouse. Once inside, Harry realizes Ramirez and Yoshimo didn't make it back in with them. An army of humans arrive on the behest of the White Court vampires, and Harry is forced to release the beast.
Okay, first of all, way to go, Harry. You of all people, leave no man behind. Wait a second. But, see, I have to admit here, too, this cover art here seems to me to look a little more Thomas-y than They gave him, too many muscles. He's too bulked up.
You think so, Matt?
Because he's super strong in the storyline. He's too bulky. In that one cover art, he looks a little less. Because that's what, Harry...
With the lightning all around?
Yeah, with him and Harry standing back to back there.
He just looks normal to me. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then when you go into the actual story, he's...
that's the... Okay.
Yeah, he's mega super muscle man. I'm like, Thomas is muscled, but lightly. He doesn't need to be. His demon does all his. He doesn't need to be a frickin' The Rock.
He just needs to look pretty.
He just needs to look pretty. That is mostly, yeah, he's lightly muscled, but not. But it's funny how it kind of goes.
I do have to say, though, the beginning of this comic is from Thomas's point of view, which is
Isn't
different
that
to me.
Crazy?
Because I don't really... there's not a lot of the literature from Butcher that...
The Dresden verse very rarely
comes from somebody
else.
Somebody else's point of view. So it was and in one story.
Yeah, that especially, because we do have a story from Thomas's point of view, and we have one from Murphy, and...
up to this point, it's only been Lucio. If we're doing it in
as
order.
As far as what we've covered, we've only seen Lucio. When Jim Butcher was doing the Year of Dresden, he ended up putting out a lot of stories that were not from Dresden's point of view.
Yeah.
And subsequently since then, so now we've got Mouse's point of view. We've had Marcone and or Justine. We've had his best friend in the council, whose name starts with M. White Council, M. Lucio's dude.
Morgan.
Thank you.
Well, you said best friend and it threw me.
Yeah.
Okay, that best
We've
friend.
had Morgan's point of view in a short story. We've had Mike the Mechanic's point of view in a short story.
So it kind of just depends on if
There's
you're
a
going
handful.
chronological or if
There's
you're
a
going
handful,
obviously.
publishing.
But
In
main
a
stories,
series
though, it
that
doesn't,
includes, somewhere sitting around 60 to 70 individual works right now. And maybe 10 are not Dresden-oriented.
But yes, definitely to have it switch within a single story is definitely a new thing. That's kind of crazy. And I guess we know, because were we not mentioning at the start of this, when we were talking about him wearing his brown canvas duster instead of his black leather duster, and we're like, where's his cloak? Well, I guess now we know where his cloak is. Because there's no fucking way that's anything but a gray fucking warden's cloak that Thomas shows up in. It's even got a little pentacle clasp on it. I don't know why Harry left it behind.
Is it though?
I'm going to say, out of everything.
Okay, yeah, I see it here, and like a couple of pages later, it has that clasp.
Yeah, it has the little...
You're right. Okay, why?
That's a good
Why?
question.
Because isn't he surprising him? Like, he doesn't know he's going to show
does.
up, so he's like,
how
I'm going to steal. Look.
How the fuck did... Yeah, Harry was just like, fuck it, I'm not wearing this piece of shit. Which is funny, because at other points, you do see him show up in his cloak. So I was like, how come he specifically spurned it for this trip or whatever? I'm like, maybe it's just like when he has to do official council. He's like, oh, my boss is going to see me. I guess I'll wear the uniform. But out here in the field with my guys, they're not going to rat me out.
I'm thinking this is, again, artist's bad interpretation, is that Dresden obviously was like, I'm going to wear my rune-covered coat. Obviously, that's way smarter.
From the first book.
Not that it was drawn, to be the new rune-covered coat.
Although,
I'm assuming, let's say, Harry, who is not in charge, clearly, of his cover artists, was like, I'm going to wear my rune-covered cloak. I don't need this random-ass cape, which would be really funny if it's also just, like, spell-coded and no one bothered to tell him, because, like, fuck that guy. And then, I don't know, maybe he had it in, like, the trunk of his car, just in case he needed his uniform, but they abandoned the car, and then Thomas came upon the car, and he's like, well, fuck that guy, it's cold out here. I like t-shirt.
Well, even from that...
Wait, I can go in disguise.
From that issue 1 page, Harry's duster is black, and then you flip the page to the first actual page of the comic, and it's back to brown again. Like,
fair, cover artist and inner artist are usually different.
Yeah.
Well, and the person who's inking versus
the other.
Yeah. See, I was going to say, too, like, I was like, oh, Harry just has, like, a terrible agent that he doesn't. But I was like, actually, that tracks. Actually, if Harry's going to have a PR agent, then, yeah, he probably would end up with the one that constantly...
And to be fair to that PR agent, they were not getting paid on a timely manner.
Make sure.
For several years, so
yeah,
you get what you get.
Right. Let's put him in a hat. We love hats. He will look fantastic in a hat. Just, yeah. And the other thing is, again, I am far, far, far from any expert, but that does not in any way, shape, or form look like a cavalry saber to me. They just gave him some other random sword.
Wait, are we talking the cover page? Are we talking the first page?
No. Well, the cover page, he's got a couple of daggers going on, which is fine because it's just a couple of daggers. They're like, okay, you could switch it up. But yeah, in that first scene he's got, which again, to me, that could conceivably be a Desert Eagle. I know I've looked it up before and it is a large gun. I can't say exactly of what they've drawn, but to me that...
But you're looking at a historic, what he's carried in the past, not necessarily what he's picked up on his way here.
True, but generally, I was going to say generally he has his Desert Eagle and a cavalry saber, so, you know, that is not. But it looks weird to me, too, the way he's holding it.
So clearly the artist has not actually read any of the other books.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no, this is cool. I know what to do.
And did not receive a detailed inventory list for anyone.
That's right. But it just...
They're not as scrupulous as your friend who went over all of the details of the beetle before recreating it.
I was going to say, I was like, surely the Dresden's wiki existed at this point.
Right? But is it not just... It looks weird to me how he's holding it. Like, he's so choked up on the... I'm like, who holds a sword up that close? Like, even if you didn't hold it, like, down at the bottom, like, I feel like...
It kind of looks like a weird machete.
Vampires don't need technique.
They don't, but it still just seems like an odd way to... I can just hold it. But regardless, that is.
We're so unscrupulous towards...
So boom, all of a sudden they've got extra... And Bravosa kind of knows who he is. I don't know, does he think at first because he's all like, whatever, betrayal, and Harry and his buddies are all like, wait, what? And are you saying he's betraying the White Council, or do you think for half a second he's there to betray Harry because you apparently have called in White Court reinforcements that we find out in a minute?
Oh, I just assumed that because he's there and how he's claimed ownership that of these people.
Yeah.
That he's like, oh, you are clearly just a traitor. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's because he says, yeah, the White Court would seek to guard its own interest. Here is no surprise, but I had expected a more elegant manner of betrayal than this. It's like, come on, this is Harry. He's just going to blunder in and do whatever.
Like, I don't think he knows actually about, like, he knows of Thomas, but doesn't know of his circumstances to know that he's on the outs. But enough to be like, what you're doing is not sanctioned, so you're...
The Wraith is not addressing him as Wraith, the way everyone calls him. It's more like, oh, you're a Wraith? What the fuck? That he's just, like, picking up on the last name, not specifically on him. Anyways, regardless, it doesn't matter. Bravosa's not terribly impressed either way. And while they're all standing around gawking, Harry's like, why don't we take advantage of this?
I think it just speaks to the Baron's ability to perceive the situation, because he already knows, like, he's already called Thomas out on not being at full strength because he sees his behavior. He sees that he's taking protection. He sees this is not in the White Court's interests. So he's like, oh, you've gone rogue. I don't know. I took it as more of a sort of a showing how the Baron is... He's a smart cookie.
Up on the politics and things, and yeah.
No, his skills of observation, just here.
Just here, okay. Yeah. But either way, not too impressed. And this is great. It like, does that whole couple scenes later where he like grabs the sword. So I'm like, okay, I know vampires and it's not going to hurt the same way, but that's one of those things that I'm just like grabbing and holding onto a blade is just super icky. And for some reason, that bothers me less. For some reason, I can better handle him firing a bullet through his jaw.
A lot of nerve endings in the hand.
I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe just because, like, the bullet is more, like, you have no control. It's just more instant and it's there. Whereas choosing to grab and then continue to hold the... I don't know. People are weird. Shooting your jaw off is fine, but don't touch a sharp object. I
do like that in the comic rendition here. Between the different factions of the court, the blood is a different quality. So
yeah,
we've got the Red Court vampires that bleed red, but Thomas is bleeding silver. So that's nice actual representation for me.
That is actually, because he does have a paler, pinkish, tinged, silvery blood kind of a thing, whereas, the Red Courts just apparently mostly bleed a lot of the blood they... consume, depending on where you hit them. But yes, I did notice that they definitely made that differentiation.
Thomas and Ramirez take their leave after, Ramirez shoots him in the face and heads back to the house. You make it back inside, and Catherine gives Thomas permission to enter, thankfully. So he's, his proper strength.
His proper, such as it is. But he doesn't lose anything going in.
So Harry wants to be angry with Thomas for coming, but he realizes that he can't because it's exactly what he would have done in his own. They're inherently brothers in that sort of behavior there.
I was going to say, it is a nice little thing where he's like, when he first notices and he's like, a couple of things go through my mind, like, oh my God, what is he doing here? And this is mostly just, oh, thank God.
But this is also the point where Harry realizes that Ramirez and Yoshimo are not present. He's like, let me introduce my brother.
Ooh. So we have Thomas, and we have Myers, and we have, what the fuck? I get it, right? Works for the storyline, but I'm just like, such a weird thing. Like, I don't know, I guess maybe he thought they were right on their heels running there back with him, but I'm just like, usually in all the other books and all the other fight scenes, Harry's very aware for the most part of where his friends and things are. And
they're only in charge of 3 people, man.
Yeah, right.
But to be fair,
there's like 20,000 vamps.
He was Shoggoth.
I was like, this is the first time he's kind of got people that are supposed to be capable on their own, not random mortals he's dragging into his mess.
That is true as well.
I think he pays a little less attention to Michael as well, because he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
You're where you need to be. Who gives a shit?
God will provide for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So outside, the Baron is belittling Ramirez for using mortal weapons in the fight and questioning his judgment.
Mm-hmm. But I do like here how they've gone with that they've kept his jaw. He hasn't just like insta-healed or like pulled his flesh mask back over. It's like now he's got the vamp jaw going on because I don't know if half of it got torn off or if it's more just like I can't be bothered to heal that part. But there's literally still a fucking hole, like a melon ball scoop out of his jawline. Thankfully, they want to use them for something. They have another plan. Like, once again, these 2 people are not getting overwhelmed by 50,000 vamps and, like, instantly killed or turned. So, thank God the vamps have some other fucking plan so that...
Right, well, not only that, but Bravosa tries to, like, recruit them as well. Be like, we can just teach you how to do all this shit. You don't need guns. Fuck that.
Yeah, right.
We have knowledge.
At least that's some sort of motivation, though, for not wanting to let Harry escort them out. It's like, no. Whatever the Venatori know, we want to know. So that's why we're trying to keep them alive and keep them hostage rather than just letting you evacuate with them earlier.
Yeah, but good point. But at the same time, they keep trying to like blast everything away. So it's like it still seems like they don't give a shit if they kill them all.
I guess you can kill a couple. The show collectively no.
Gotcha.
As long as you just save 1 or 2.
As long as you get 1 or 2, we get a whole bunch of that knowledge over to ours. So yeah, okay, fair enough.
They probably all share a Google Drive. It's fine.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
What?
Venatori or mortals, they can do that. So yes, Harry's about to
Do you
run
think
out.
actually the Red Court vampires have enough mojo to, like, fuck up tech too, or no?
As just a vampire, no. But like someone like Mavra, who's also a practitioner of magic, I think it's like fairies don't mess up tech either. So I'm really not sure how it would fall on a vampire and their magic. It's just mortal magic that gets hijinky. But I don't know if vampires are using mortal magic or if...
Yeah, that's a good question. Because, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, oh, well, Bianca. See, and again, I don't even know between Mavra and... Because the Black Court is that much different from the Red Court. So Bianca, who was learning to be a sorceress and was picking up magic, I don't know if hers would have been the same kind as...
And the magic is almost a punishment on humanity, too, where like it used to express itself as
Warts
boils and
and-
bumps or
yeah.
warts and things like that, right? And it's slowly more...
Sour milk.
And then right now it's like modern technology or whatever. So it seems like it was almost a little bit of a punishment. It's like, okay, you guys can learn this, but it's going to manifest in weird ways around you.
Give and take. You got to balance. You can
Exactly,
do really cool
so-
stuff. You're going to have to take the lumps with the...
So it's hard to know, like, who's making that choice there. Is it like a physics thing? Like magic is just messing with the atmosphere in some way that used to be the human condition and then with sour milk and that, it's hard to have a transference that makes sense there.
Right.
And in which case then does that also affect vampires, or do you think the universe is like, you know what, they've already got a lot going on?
They're not really mortal anymore.
Yeah.
So, it is a good question, actually, because, again, right when Harry talks about it coming from, like, your life force and your will and your, and it's like, well, does a vampire have a life force, quote unquote, right? What are they? I mean, will.
Well,
they
and
can
this
definitely have a strong will.
This is partially the problem of Deadbeat, is learning that that's apparently not entirely correct either. Is that actually you can get magic in other ways too.
Yes.
It's not necessarily,
necromantic magic as opposed to...
It's so
Like,
weird.
does
Why?
the different types of magic run on different frequencies of energy or sound or light or whatever it is? Like and that's what fucks up because
That's
it's
one
just
question
that
like
long
Dresden Files is that it's essentially everything we know now is that the supernatural kind of developed as other microorganisms or however with the Big Bang, the same way
Evolved.
humanity did. Like, they're not an invasive species that came from like another dimension. Like, they also originated on planet Earth with us as well. They just are way more powerful. Like, we have the outsiders, but essentially everything on Earth is supposed to be on Earth. Like,
well,
the fairies
that's
didn't
why
come
they're
from
the
outside.
outsiders, is that,
That's exactly what I
they
mean,
are
though.
beyond our reality.
The fairies aren't like, well, we used to be outsiders too, but then we got here and claimed dibs, and now we're insiders.
Yeah, no, the never is still part of our mortal
Exactly.
reality.
So it's like, why does magic just not punish fairies and the way that they use magic, or...
Well, I was going to say, kind of to her point where she was saying, does it go on different frequencies? And I'm like, I could see that being, like, I think that might be a decent way of, because like you say, with the necromantic energy and stuff like that, you can call it up differently, you can apply it differently, it gets different results, right? But that also was supposed to be part of the thing, is that it is more inherent to fairies than it is to, right? Like, they just are magic. So I think maybe that being the difference, that humans on this side can get or be open to or whatever.
Be gotten by.
Yeah, whereas fairies originate from the Never, so it's still part of this reality, but they are inherently magical, I don't know, basically instead of like people turning into wolves, like Tara was a wolf turning into people, like just that flip side of the coin kind of thing maybe. But that's why fairy magic isn't supposed to. It's something more inherent in their being as opposed to whatever humans get or have access to.
Not my fault, you're made of carbon and I'm not.
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of a...
It's fun to ponder that.
Yeah, no clue though about vampires and magic. I'm really not sure where...
Yeah, but
It
sure, if
begins
you
and
want to
ends with
just
them.
clarify that at some point, maybe. We're 17 books in and apparently we don't know yet. So maybe just, let us know. Was Bianca just working mortal magic like Harry, or...
Butchers listening to this going, oh, fuck.
It's one of two things.
So I have to explain everything to you people?
Right, yeah, one of two things. Either it's coming, or fuck it. If I wanted to explain it, I would have explained it by now, okay? Just be happy.
Do you know how hard it was to set up a world with magic that works with physics?
You're just never happy. I give it. You just want more.
Either way, Yoshimo answers in the form of spit to the Baron's face of, nah, we're not gonna. Yeah, fuck off. And then we shift back into the house.
And Harry is, let me go. And Thomas says, no, you mustn't. Think first.
Yeah, they're not kids. They're not kids. No.
No. Which is fair, but yeah, it is a very good back and forth here with Harry's like, and him like, yeah, but they're your responsibility, but not to a point, right? Exactly. They're supposed to. This is what they're here for. This is their job. They're kids, but they're wardens, right? And Harry's like, fucking fuck.
What I really appreciate about this scene between the two of them is not so directly, but in this case, Thomas addresses Harry's sort of hero complex in a way, because he always wants to be the one to save everybody like they can't help themselves. And where Murphy's tried to be like, look, bitch, I can help myself. It's fine.
Yes.
And he kind of gets it, but this is like outright being like, no, they're not children. They're fine.
Yes, this is their job. Yes, they're young, but they're not as inexperienced as you would like to believe they are. They've been through a lot of shit, and exactly, they have powers to fend for themselves.
Yeah, what they actually need is a leader, not a protector.
Yeah, yes, yeah, he phrased it very well. See, that's much more profound than what I thought you were going to say about appreciating this scene, and I was like, what, the fact that, like, Ishenko's, like, busting out of her shirt yet again.
I was art-wise. I was going to mention that, like, the two brothers actually have a proper similar jawline, but yeah.
Yes.
But you have a point with her awkward shotgun and her awkward breasts.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Wasn't going to go there, but thanks.
Yeah.
Love it.
Meanwhile, so this is where she says Asaro and McGuckin are gone. One of the Red Court's human agents got in, murdered them. It was only through Ishenko's courage that they failed to gain possession of the Shoggoth. Harry, please tell me I didn't hear what I thought I heard. Oh, yeah, by the way, Thomas. It's not just vampires. Welcome to the party. Oh, this is bad. It's very bad. And it explains everything. Does it? Does it really? Because we brought up a lot of questions so far this episode in like 10 minutes, and none of them have been answered. And what is it about... I think it's Pepper. What, is he like part Hulk or something? Why is he always like olive drab? Like his skin is like it practically matches like Ishenko's tights.
You're right. He does look.
He's not just kind of sallow colored or like all of them have different skin tones. He's
green.
Yeah, like
his hands aren't, but his face sure is.
Well, in certain ones, I think it depends because where I'm looking right now, his hands seem to be fairly. But yeah,
Maggie, we're inclusive in this comment.
We are. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him. I'm just wondering. What is he part ghoul Venatori? Is he part Hulk Venatori? I'm not saying there's anything wrong. He can be there. He's part of it. I'm just curious as to where he hails from that he gets that shade. Thomas goes on his little introspective of, I have family and like I've grown up and like had siblings and experience, but Harry doesn't. And this is where he starts flashing back. And again, it makes sense to the thing, right? Thomas showed up at the masquerade where he showed up in the butterfly wings. And I get it. You have clearly conveyed. But I was like, dude, it wasn't just some boring black and orange monarch. He had like these crystalline, almost very like butterfly wings. I'm like, so disappointed. I'm like, see, that's what I want in my art. I'm like, I want somebody to show me those beautiful crystalline wings, not just a fucking monarch.
Yeah, but this is still a graphic novel. You have to stick with a graphic novel style. I'm going to defend the artist in this case.
I know, I'm just saying. I think part of it is I'm not a big fan of monarchs. Of all the butterflies, there's so many other more beautiful butterflies that I just don't like the plain black and orange. So even if they'd done like a kid's butterfly and made it all like pink and purple, I would have been happier than the black and orange. I think that's just part of why it bugs me. Like, Thomas is way prettier than that. His wings would have been way prettier. So apologies to everybody who loves the monarchs. I just find their color pattern bleh.
Most common butterfly in North America.
I know.
And probably many other countries, honestly. It's probably the most common butterfly in the world.
Yeah.
And you hate it.
I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite.
It's fine. Okay.
I did see him wearing an I Heart Buffy shirt.
Yes.
So that is kind of fun, at least.
That I do give props to because that is actually what he wore. When he showed up to help Dresden at the duel, he was wearing a Buffy t-shirt.
Yes.
So thank you for getting that detail, but fuck his cloak, or fuck Harry's coat, which is like the most important iconic thing he has.
Okay, my question is, whose apartment is that?
No, I always assumed it was Harry's.
I would 100% say it's Harry's.
Okay, great. Why is there a television there?
Because Thomas moved in?
And it gets shorted out every day, so Thomas goes and buys a new television every single day.
There's a lamp there.
I mean,
There's modern technology in that apartment.
Where's the
all
fireplace? And
all over.
This is another point of the artist not being aware of what is going on.
Just a little bit.
I like that. Thank you. And it's flat screen.
I know, it's a modern television.
Yeah. I do also love how the coffee table has nothing but like beer and bras on it. Like, let's just real quick, we'll just sum up why Harry's frustrated with living with Thomas.
Which is also still inaccurate because he's been drinking McAnally's bottled, not cans.
Yeah, that's true. This is one of his low points. He's going. Whoops.
There's some weird little mask and like a mirror on the wall too. Or maybe a mirror. Maybe it's not a mirror. It just doesn't have a...
It's a window out to a cell block stairs down.
There are many questionable choices now that you've mentioned this.
This is not Harry's apartment, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
is that they just collectively, I don't know, they've gone back to Murphy's house to trash it.
And this is
right.
That's a flashback to the blackout.
Hey, Thomas. That's all I never gave her back her key. Which, again, we could nitpick because the lamp is on, and if they were at Murphy's house in the blackout.
We can... No, I'm not saying it was that night. I'm saying they just still go there when she's like working a night shift or something.
Thomas is like, fuck this.
Thomas
Where the fuck does my beer keep going?
Yeah, Thomas is like, she has a real fridge and a TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's gone through her underwear drawer. You're the worst, Thomas.
He totally would, though, and not feel a shred of guilt about it. So he'd be like,
I love it.
What? If Murphy didn't want me to fondle her bra, she wouldn't leave them locked in her bedroom door in her own house. Although, ever so slightly, that tank top he's wearing looks ever so slightly like Thomas has got a bra on there.
He pats his pecs, okay?
Oh my god, yeah, I guess.
It doesn't it look a little like it's just almost a little bit too defined that it's like separated almost like a...
Oh, poor Thomas. You just got the shit end of the cartoon.
He's right, but shirtless next to Harry. He looks better on the beetle.
So one of the more crucial pieces of information that Thomas does give when he's inside is that there's a human army that's going to be showing up.
Yeah, wait, what? What the fuck? What?
Myers is like, oh, motherfucker, we can't deal with this shit because we can't kill them because they're mortals and we're all fucked. We're all just fucked.
Which, excuse me? No. You can't kill them with magic. Harry kills people all the fucking time.
Yeah, I guess he does.
Right? I'm like, I don't know, Myers.
But you just shoot them in the face.
Yes. This is my
Myers is like, don't worry, I got this shit, bitch.
Harry's like, wait a second, Myers. There's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law. Okay, you can kill all.
Myers, why do you think you brought all those guns and swords?
Yes. That is
dark. It's true, but dark.
It's true. Yeah, you just can't. That's the only thing. They don't get. That's Murphy's problem.
Yeah.
If you kill him with a gun or a sword, not the council's problem. You just cannot kill them with magic. So, hello.
Wow.
I mean,
I think I'm more surely shocked that you brought that up.
it was like the first thing I thought.
We should have been keeping a kill count this far, but maybe we'll have to get one set up before the next book starts.
My new kill count is how many times she's gonna say the obvious unethical choices that they've missed.
Hey, you know what? I birthed and raised Jessica, okay? I'm not sure which influenced which, but... Why am I the only one ever bringing this up? I don't know why you guys don't see these points.
You see, it wasn't me.
Happy birthday.
I'm innocent in all of this.
I still maintain I should get the kudos. I'm the one that did all the work. So, just saying.
Happy birthing day, Mother.
Thank you. It was 4 a.m. I was swearing like a sailor. No, I was kidding.
Wow, I wasn't born until 1 p.m., so...
But at 4 a.m., I was swearing like a sailor. No, that's Lorelai's story.
Harry, instead of outright telling Myers that he could just, conventionally kill people, he says that the Venatori will do it instead.
Yeah, but you know when you're like at a job for a long time and you start cutting corners and then you have to train a new guy and you're like, Okay, I'm going to show you the right way to do it. And once they've been there a little while, you're like, all right, listen up. We just killed them.
yeah. Okay, Myers, that's great. Yeah, we're here to defend the human population, mortals, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but listen.
Would it help you?
There's bad guys, okay?
Describe them as like being like dark
Foot soldier
wizard
to the demon. Yeah.
like that. Like you just execute those guys all the time, right?
All the time. Without question, without trial.
Surely you've been to a couple of executions by now, Myers.
You're like, I don't like the way he dresses. I think he's a black wizard. Chop your head off.
Yeah, we're not even putting a bag over their head. At least they get to watch us kill them.
Yeah, that was Harry's one concession because he technically did get a trial. But they're like, wait, we can't let you see who's here or know where our secret hideout is. Because if you're...
You might get angry at us later on down the road and hold a vendetta.
Oh, but wait, we decided he was innocent, so now we have to let him in.
I was going to say, that first meeting when he was, like, graduated from Ebenezer and got to, like, attend as, like, like not an apprentice, but, like, a council
As a member of,
And it was so, like, shaking hands and just, like, I imagine the clip of Ryan from The Office when he, like, first came back and he's making a list of everyone who wronged him, so when he's back on top, he knows who to get his revenge from. And so Ryan keeps making these looks to, like, the camera, and you just see him pull out a notepad and he just writes down a name. Harry just hears someone's voice and he's like,
wait, you were there.
So Harry takes charge and instructs Venatori to barricade the door and tells Myers that he'll be close quarter fighting from here on out. And
that might be tough with your busted, bloody, fractured hand, but I have faith in you, Myers. You can do it. Meanwhile, at that moment, that's where Ramirez and Yoshimo are.
Yeah, remember those guys?
Right.
I know we stopped to have a flashback, but they're currently being murdered.
Only not because...
They're using magic to blow them back without killing them.
Yeah,
like, oh shit.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit overwhelming numbers that way, and they are probably getting a little tired by this point. Like, we talked about this before, how it's really funny, like, how you honestly don't think about that kind of stuff. Harry's mentioned a bunch of times, like, 5 seconds in battle is like an hour of workout and all that kind of stuff. But I remember years ago reading, like, a story. It was, like, a hockey-based fanfic or something like that. And she was talking...
Oh, my favorite thing to read.
I know. And trust me, ordinarily it would not have been, but it was other characters that were set as playing hockey instead of what they usually did. But regardless, it was interesting because she was kind of giving a little rundown on it, and she made the point. She's like...
She's making it sound like we're the most ultimate Canadians right now.
I am. I read hockey fanfic.
10 books deep into a hockey romance series right now. I'm like, no.
So, I don't know about you, Tanzan, but we are the ultimate Canadians, okay?
It's my first sports romance series, and I'm so into it right now.
Anyway,
all right.
But they're a Chicago-based team, so it's still, you know, still a
but
traitor.
it's still hockey. Anyways, but I was going to say where one of the things she said, and she's like, oh, it doesn't sound like, because, you know, she'd talk about people shift on the ice or whatever. She's like, it doesn't sound like very much, but she's like, honestly, if you look at, like, professional hockey, you know, she's like, most of them will play, like, 30 seconds on the line, and then they're, like, subbed out and this and that. So she's like, getting, like, 2 minutes of play time is actually, like, a really long time, and I'd never really thought about it that much, but I was like, oh, actually, that's fair. Like, again, right, thinking back to, like, when I played soccer and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, obviously kids, community soccer as well, but, right, yeah, that couple of minutes at the level and intensity that they're going at and stuff like that, right? But yeah, it's just kind of funny sometimes where you know, they're like, we've been here for like about an hour and they've actually been going pretty hard. So I was like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you guys probably.
And, you know, broken record, but to reinstate that, Harry fighting for an hour, that's hard. But he is a little bit more accustomed to it at this point. These guys do not ever fight at all before this last, you know, year or two. And then on top of that, definitely not this hard for this prolonged, you know. And
yeah.
I'm sure they have gotten a taste for it, like back in Sicily and things like that. Like it was hard and stuff, but
obviously those would have been
again, not quite the same amount of time that Dresden has been, you know. This is like every weekend for at this point 6 or 7 years, right?
Well, yeah, and again, that Harry keeps saying, like, he's kind of that natural brawler that other people aren't, right? So again, he sort of has a little bit of that stamina, endurance that others aren't.
Do you think that
naturally
like how Butters has said that like the metabolism of a wizard sort of is faster for healing? Do you think that also helps his endurance somewhat too?
I would have to.
When I was in school, we had a gym teacher that was always telling us all the time. He was like, the only thing that's going to stop you guys from running is your mental fortitude. He was like, your body will not collapse at any point in what this gym class will ever make you do. But it's going to be your brains that make you want to just stop anyways. And he's like, so I'm going to urge you guys to just keep going even when it feels hard. Just keep trying anyways. And we would always be like, okay, sure, whatever, we try. And then eventually be like, fuck that shit, I'm listening to my brain, right? But he used to always like start gym class and always be like, if you guys can just convince yourselves
There's
you're okay.
nothing to fear but fear itself. Pain is all in your mind.
Exactly, a little bit. And so I think to a point, it's more just that with Harry and stuff like that is like the mental fortitude is just so strong with him.
That is definitely a lot because you have seen specific instances where he's like, I just block it away. I just put it out. I have to keep going. But
yeah, but I don't think the metabolism is fast enough to actually be helping in that way. Like, it's still quite faster than humans, clearly, but still quite.
That is a good point. Butters' point is, like you say, Harry didn't insta-heal or anything like that. It's taking him. And we see that again. Harry has picked up jogging and some light martial art training with Murphy too. So you're right. It feels like most of that stuff, maybe in the long run, like maybe the more he trains, he can build up more than, say, a human ordinarily could. But
if even somebody that's really fit has to run for an hour and then fight like they're fighting, I think there's still some supernatural assistance here.
That's possible. And also, to be fair to your point, Butter's prediction at this point is like, the only way you're going to get your hand back is because you have the time as a wizard.
Yeah.
You're going to live for, like, let's say 400 years, so that's why you're probably going to get your hand back in about 100 years. This is a bit of spoilers, but as readers of this book, we know Harry's going to get it in, like, 5 years or 4. Like, what? I don't remember what book exactly he's got his full hand back, but we know it's not 100 years down the line that it finally heals. So that's clearly much faster than Butters is predicting by 100%, essentially, whatever the fuck the math is there.
Yes, and again, in theory, some of our human ailments could heal if we had that much time. We just don't, right? Like, our body is not going to. Plus, like you say, it starts that degenerative.
What is it? Lobster? Is it lobsters or crabs that are like in I think it's lobsters.
That which? That can...
They like don't die
age?
exactly.
Oh, like they're kind of immortal?
They're somewhat immortal until they just like, I don't know.
Oh, I forget.
Outgrow their... I don't know.
I feel
sharks
like
live really fucking long, but I don't know if that's the ones.
But it's something like
too.
lobsters just like heal every wound. It's just that eventually they're like, I don't know, shell can't keep up with them or I don't remember exactly what it is. It's something weird.
They just like, I'm done, it's fine.
Yeah. This is enough.
I'm going to make a choice.
A little known fact, every lobster that's ever died has done it through suicide because it's just eventually their choice.
Okay.
Gotta end this.
While lobsters are known for their apparent continuous growth and long lifespan, they are not truly immortal. They eventually die, often from exhaustion during molting, not old age.
Read the first sentence again.
While lobsters are known for their apparent continuous growth and long lifespans.
Point is, here's a lobster.
Lobster.
I think it would also be fitting to compare Thomas because most vampires are also not having to go to war the same way that Thomas often does because most of them are picking on the weak in an alleyway. It's not the same sort of battle there. You either, as a white court vampire, are doing a lot of seduction, although we also know the black court does a lot of seduction as well. Red court. But even when they are typically finding prey, it's not really a fight per se, and there might be a little bit of posturing among themselves and things like that, but the actual going to war with other supernatural baddies is still not a part of their daily lives either. Thomas is also a little bit of that outlier, now knowing Dresden, that he's forced to
Constantly getting
battle everyone he meets ever, all the time.
So I decided to like bond with this like one particular familial attachment that I found out I had and forsake like most of the rest of them that I've been around for, decades with. And I'm just now going to battle like every natural instinct and everybody that's out there.
And I'm going to stop feeding because it makes them feel uncomfortable.
And I'm just going to go up against like every fucking faction out there now.
Harry's a sad little orphan boy. He literally has no one but Thomas. Thomas has a lot of family that's still alive, actually. Like, Thomas has many, 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 many sisters. We only have the name for 2, but we know he's got like at least a dozen.
We get a few more names here
right?
and there, but yeah, we've heard cousins.
Right, and we know we've got cousins. We know he's got his father is obviously still there. I'm not saying he should go and have a relationship with every one of these people. His cousins and father are clearly fucked, but I'm still saying it's not the same as Thomas is like, we're both all alone in this world together, and Lara's standing there like, you motherfucking bitch.
Yeah. And literally, because they go back and forth on that all the time where he's like, I love you, Laura. And she's like, you're my baby brother. And then he's like, I'm going to go help Harry. And she's like, fuck you, you're disowned. And then he's like, hey, Laura, I really need a favor. And she's like, of course, you're my baby brother, but I can't let anybody know that I'm helping you. And then he's like, okay, but I got to go back and help Harry again. She's like, hey, fuck you, you're disowned again.
I do like, in another graphic novel, it draws 3 Wraith sisters, Lara and then 2 others. And I don't remember if it actually, I think it does name them. But I'm like, finally, we've got 2 more names to them.
Is that the graphic novel? I think that's a book.
Well, I can picture them in my head. So either I saw fan art or it's a graphic novel.
Or maybe both.
Maybe, but...
Because I know there's definitely another book where we meet more of the Wraiths. But anyways, regardless.
It does make me laugh, though, that sometimes
yeah.
they both act like it's just you and me against the world. The entire Wraith family tree is still standing.
We saved Inari and, sent her off to California, and that's it. There's nobody else exists
I've
in the Wraith
just been searching for that brotherly bond. All my brothers get murdered all the time.
Yeah, right. That's why you're the most important. It's like the oldest daughter and the youngest
sisters, who gives a fuck about that? But
yeah. Dime a dozen, man. Sisters are so catty.
You've met one, you've met them all.
Older sisters especially are the worst.
Okay, Lara's literally keeping together everything right now.
Yeah, and she's also the worst.
And
she's
in 291
bossy
days.
and controlling. And
she is bossy and she is controlling. But that's working out really well in Harry's favor right now, and Thomas's, just so we're all clear.
Right now, but yeah.
Right now, and up to book 17 at least.
Harry and Thomas join Ramirez and Yoshimo to sort of help. And inside, Ramirez holds off the encroaching humans with a magical shield. I just want to point out inconsistencies in artwork because suddenly he has no hand wrap and his hands are fine again.
Who is that, Myers?
Yeah.
Oh. See, again, this is... I mean, again...
And I was like, maybe he got rid of it, but no, later on.
It's back.
Hand wrap is back.
Going back to, the original Hercules cartoon, where every time he put his ring on, it blew the monster back, 30 feet again. I don't know. Herc. But once again, you've got the 2 of them, the 2 wardens surrounded by all these I keep wanting to say black because they're black in their shape, all these red court vamps. And then you have all these white court mortals rushing in with all their, super automatic. I'm like, why are you not just running in, opening fire? You obviously had the element of surprise there. They didn't see. I'm like, I don't know. It's great. I don't want Ramirez or Yoshimo to die. It's just these little things.
There's always things like that. It's like, if it was up to me, I could have killed every main character immediately.
That's right. And I mean, I get
a monologue,
every movie, everything, but
and you don't have the fortitude of hindsight in the moment.
Yeah, once again, I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, they have plenty of time to whip up force field wind spell and send them all blasting just in time so that, Harry and Thomas can come out and start whacking away Walloping. That's also a good word.
Myers' solution is insane.
Wild Bill!
That's right. Now we know.
How to defend the house. Put it on a mountain.
Yeah.
Oh.
Shit.
Hey, wait a second. I know how to get this out of reach.
Okay.
But again...
I mean, that's cool.
I was going to say, that's got to be no small feat.
I mean, I have questions. Because, did he pull it from... Does he know that there's a sub-basement with Shoggoth in it that he has to pull up as well? Or,
I was going to say, that I thought of, too.
Right.
And I was like, well, I guess it must have. But again, this is, I don't know where... This is Hermione's magical enlargement charm thingy. What the hell is that called? Because, again, when you go... So we get a decent sense of how big the house is. It's kind of a little bit of a taller, skinnier house then. But you go down to that fucking bunker basement. That thing was fucking huge. That thing was, easily 3 times the size of the house we see. And yet, like you say, when he pulls that pillar of rock up, it's basically just the base of the house. But you would have to think... I mean, I guess... Maybe he just elongated the rock and left the base. But again,
he's made it like a TARDIS.
Well, that's what I meant. Hermione's super expansion spell or whatever, right? Where it's... But yeah, because I was thinking the same thing. And I was like, did he just
Wizard
rip it away?
Time Lord.
Right?
Answers everything.
I mean, they're almost one and the same anyways.
The Doctor doesn't believe in magic.
But technology is, as we've discussed many times, as good as magic when you either don't understand it or not experienced with it, right?
I mean, and ultimately, this magic is based in science, according to Butters, at least.
That would be the Doctor's point.
So, yeah, exactly.
My biggest issue with it is that I imagine that the basement is still where the basement is, and now the house is like 200 feet above, and there's just an empty cavern in the rock, and it's like, all right, free fall for like
Just
10 feet.
Don't go down to the basement right now. Watch that first step. Yeah. It's a doozy. Yeah, that's fair. But it is interesting because Harry's always like, oh, you can't just like make nothing out of nothing and this and that. But I was like, again, you can kind of conjure up fire and then it behaves like that. So that is a very good question. Would he have to pull up that much rock? Or
is it coming from out?
Did he just like up? Elongate the rock that, like...
But energy has to come from somewhere, so...
Well, yeah.
But he would have made the quarry like fill in if he'd pulled rock from there.
Right.
That would have caved in.
These poor, like...
Because they're right there. They're like right up against it.
They are, but...
These poor artists. And...
They're like, people, it's a fucking magic comic. Shut the fuck up, okay?
Oh, cool. They're talking about the comic I drew. Oh, fuck.
We do like it. We do love it. It's fantastic. Just,
This is not the artist's fault. This one's Jim Butcher's writing, okay? He put that house 200 feet up, okay? The artist has drawn that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an explanation. We just don't know what it is. It's
there's 100 explanations, and we're just mad we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking demi-plane full of rocks, so he can just build establishments wherever he wants.
Right? It's like I saw this, but one of the late night talk show hosts, and it was like a little spoof thing where they had like Doctor Strange show up. And he's like, no, I just have like this kid's birthday party. You're like a magician, right? And he's like, I don't do that. And he's like, $150, which, by the way, I'm like, it's super. Like, come on. But anyways, he's doing like balloon animals and shit. And then this kid is like, blah, blah, blah. Why can't you do this? And then he's like, does his little magic spiral and just like shoves the kid through. Like, and then you see this kid standing in like this dystopian, like, asteroid minefield or something like that. It's just like, that's like, yeah, Myers is just like, I just have my little pocket universe there full of like...
Really confused people.
We do not accept criticism.
It was kind of cute, though. It was funny to see them. And bye-bye. You know what, Tommy? You can just poof.
So the Baron is quick to point out that if that house falls, they've got no more threshold, and like that's kind of a dumb idea. Well, interesting. Okay, sure.
I kind of get that, though. I mean, yeah, if you tear the thing down, there is no longer a home there to safeguard anything.
Man, threshold of thesis much? I do wonder how many Green Berets you've got to send over a threshold to stamp out a threshold, like...
That is also a good question, though, because obviously people can come... I mean, again, right, that's why mortals
don't necessarily affect the quality?
Well, I think it has to do with intention, basically, because right now, a home like Murphy's, okay, Murphy's a single woman living there, but that house has been a family home for, let's say 100 years.
It was like their original homestead when that thing came up.
It's a strong, solid structure, okay? Mm-hmm. Harry's lived in his apartment for like 10 years, but only ever as a bachelor and stuff like that, and apparently, that...
It's a rental, it's a bachelor pad.
So to sort of take this slightly out of context, just for comparison, so like this place here has a threshold. Now, if hypothetically it got raided by the FBI and the police and a bunch of people like broke in that are mortals and like did their thing and they left,
because
is that does it affect?
That's also my question.
I mean, I still consider this a home, even if I would be traumatized. Clearly, be like, what the fuck? But
if theoretically the FBI were to raid this place.
No.
They'd be widely out of their jurisdiction, first off.
Details.
Just as a number one.
I'd be fully within my rights to fight back at that point.
It's so funny. The FBI's knocking on your door and like, first of all, sir, you're about 500 miles north.
And you know what? She's spunky about that kind of stuff, too. She would. Like, literally, the rest of us would be like, oh, my God,
like,
the FBI.
I got my camera out and be like, please.
Like, I'm recording this, and, excuse me, can I see your...
Forget that.
Not like I haven't already done that to a traffic cop. I know I'm probably also actually on a watch list.
And with your landlord roommate, he's even worse.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, it's gonna be Jay upstairs with the shotgun, like leaning out the window.
I mean, granted, I'll have rubber bullets, but still,
those things sting like a motherfucker. Anyways, yes, I don't know. This is a good point of what does it take to trample a threshold. Can you trample someone's threshold? Or if the intention of the...
We even get a little bit of this in the next work when we get to something borrowed, right? It's established that it's also just a rental and also just an apartment, but that, you know, the alphas have established themselves as like a family and a hardcore group knit of pack.
They're sort of the home base of their pack, yeah.
Threshold has still managed to become somewhat
little more
established.
Because even then, it almost sounds like because they have this group that keeps coming in that actually solidifies
Yeah,
it even
exactly,
more.
right?
Like, they don't live there, but they
Which, again, makes me just
strengthen
think
it.
that Harry's, like, doesn't have a threshold because he just doesn't want to have one. Because it sounds like, you know, in that time of having your brother...
He's a sad, lonely man.
In that time of, like, dating
No
Susan,
threshold
like...
because he doesn't know.
And I get it, they don't live there. I get it's different intentions. But I still feel like there's a certain point where I'm like, Harry, I think you're just purposely keeping your threshold weak, you bitch.
Actually, it probably helped because of Thomas.
That's what I'm wondering, though, is like...
Maybe. Because I was going to say, what the phrase is in Something Bored is he does say, like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 but there's been a lot of living here. And I like maybe that is, like, Harry does not invite friends. I mean, we see that a little bit more so once we have been invited into the picture. But again, right, as Harry kept saying, like, I'm alone, or I don't have any friends. I'm like, he doesn't invite, he had no family to come over for anything. He didn't have any friends he invited over for anything. He didn't have any coworkers that stopped by to watch the game or have a beer because you couldn't. You know what I mean? Like, I think all of those things that, yeah, Murphy's home is an ancestral family homestead, and generations of them have lived there and raised children there.
I get all that. It still doesn't help the question of stamping out a threshold.
Yeah, and this is in the same vein because this is also owned by grandparents, like, and passed down. So
yeah, but that's what I mean. I could understand with, like, the vampires to me are saying that they literally tear the house apart and there's nothing left standing. Then there's no threshold.
I think he's making more of a construction sort of rule
I get that.
here. Is
It
the
just-
foundation is
I could
pretty
be wrong,
wrapped after that.
But the artwork kind of seems like the Green Beret are leading the charge and vampires were then filtering in after them. And I was just like, okay, so are they just taking the sting? Or is it just like there's just so many of us and you guys are expendable? Like, hit them with everything you've got and eventually it'll break down the force field that a threshold is.
So,
Oh, see, and I took it more as an actual structural, like this looks...
No, I get
which way?
that. I
This
mean,
way or this
before.
way?
yeah, I don't know. I don't see the vampires pouring in. I see all the Green Berets pouring in.
Okay, maybe
and
it is just
Green
Green
Berets are going to get really pissed at us for saying that because they're just like infantrymen or something. But yeah, all the little soldier guys are pouring in.
Mercenaries.
Mercenaries,
What do you call the little toys that are green?
G.I. Joes,
No.
the army men.
Yeah, is it just army men?
Just army men.
They just look like that.
Little plastic
Yes.
armies.
Maybe,
Yes.
are they okay with us calling them that?
Probably not better, but okay. At least a little bit more generic.
Mercenaries.
They look like the guys in Toy Story right now.
Yes, they do.
Trying to see what toys Andy got.
That's right. Only they have a little better articulation and...
Sir, it's a Buzz Lightning. Move out.
Anywho, yes, I don't know. I don't know if a bunch of people trampling over... Because that's what I was going to say is we know if intention of a building, like if you... Like he was saying with Morty. Morty turned his house into like a business and that affected. But whether just having people, again, mortals just waltz in uninvited, I don't know if that weakens your threshold. Because mortals, the whole point is that they are less affected because they don't have all.
Well, again, I would say, like, you know, a mortal is like 0.0005% of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yeah, the average mortal coming into your house uninvited does jack shit to it all. But, you know, a raid on your home is like so intrusive and
much more intense and
You know,
invasive and
invasive that it's just like the threshold is just like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
I don't know.
I'm gonna find a home that loves me. Respects me and
You see your
appreciates me.
threshold packing its bags and how does your threshold cross the threshold?
There's a threshold at Harry's apartment right now, and he just stares up lovingly at the threshold above
It's like
him.
the genie that just goes...
A little old lady's house. I remember when I used to be you, man.
I miss Mr. Spunklecreef.
That's funny. So either way, Harry's response to Bravosa saying, you're gonna be fucked anyway, is, fuck it, unleash the Kracken!
Which is fantastic. But
Whoa.
my question, even above the threshold, is they are down on the ground, right? Thomas is busy butting heads together when this thing goes whoop, and all of a sudden, Harry and Thomas are just on the porch. Who did the fucking Mega Superman leap to get you up there? Like, that's
Thomas,
completely
obviously.
skipped over. They don't show Harry Ventus or Vita seeing them up there. They don't show Thomas doing
I
his...
think they were already on the porch when it happened.
I would like to agree with you, but...
Because, like, look at the order of the frames. They're already, like, on the stairs, and then...
As soon as they saw the foundation ripping, they were like, go, go, go.
I guess, because Emmy's like, yeah,
Like,
Harry,
I think
we
they
need
were
to get
already
back
up there.
But
like, I will have that same question later.
I guess maybe that is
Myers
just supposed to have...
had an outcropping that bumped him onto the porch.
No, I think they were already there. I think they were just
close enough
right
to
on that porch, and that porch went up with them.
Yeah, because he's very obviously not a minute ago. And he's like, Harry, you gotta get... But maybe, yeah, they weren't as far as everyone else. But anyways.
Out comes
Yeah, let's get to the
the
tops.
beast.
Oh, very clever. Well, what are you gonna do now?
What happens if we bring the house 200 feet up in the air? Do you think that will expose the basement? What do you think will happen?
But yeah, well, but Catherine...
Foundation is foundation.
Details. We'll just fill it in with like the Never Never or something. It's fine, people. We'll just... But yeah, she's like,
That's been there the whole time.
You're not really gonna do... After all, we sacrificed to do this. And Thomas is just like, I don't know if you've noticed. He's like, by now, Miss Taylor, I think you have realized Harry plays to win.
This concludes our episode 15.3, Release the Kracken. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us with Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.